Thanks for subscription. Cannot hear me? Now can. Okay, good. Good evening. Which country are you from? Germany. Okay, you are from Germany, and my report today will be about from Poland. Okay, so my report today will be about probably the first real activity of FIDE. So FIDE, like organization, was born in 1924, same as, for example, very famous Grandmaster David Ivanovich Bronstein. So in 1924 was born FIDE, and first World Championship match, which was organized by FIDE, was the match between Yefim Bogoljubow and Max Euwe. But in that moment, Alexander Alechin was official world championship after his win against Jose Raul Capablanca in Buenos Aires 1927. So match between Bogolyubov and Euwe was called like world championship match amongst amateurs. But okay, so these amateurs were quite strong, and they played 10 games, as I have understood from the book about Max Euwe. I mean, this book about Max Euwe. The match was played in Holland, probably in different cities in Holland, probably not in the same city, like also later matches between Alexander Alechin and Max Euwe. So the match between Bogolyubov and Euwe was played in 1928, so 1 year later after the match between Alechin and Capablanca. And in this match, after 10 games, Yefim Bogolyubov won with minimal score, 5.5 against 4.5, and became world champion amongst amateurs. So Yefim Bogolyubov was first amateurs world champion. And for today, so they played 10 games. I am planning to demonstrate all of this, but for today, okay, I decide to demonstrate only first 2 games from this match, and later I will demonstrate other games. So, in game 1, Yefim Bogolyubov played with white and started with knight f3. d5, d4. Another possibility is c4 here, but if c4, black can play e6, and if white plays d4, it will be classical queen's gambit declined. White has other possibilities like g3, like b3, like e3. So sometimes another position can appear. For example, e3, knight f6, b3, bishop e7, bishop b2, castle, knight c3, c5, takes, and even queen b1 is possible, knight c6, h4. This is quite modern line. White wants to play knight g5 and to prepare attack in Kingsland. So white is playing without d4. Of course, black can play d4 now. It's a totally different type of position. And once Max Euwe won excellent game against Alexander Alechin. I'm fine. You can see that So who I think will win Norway chess tomorrow? Oh, okay. First of all, I need to congratulate my favorite team, Real Madrid, with victory over Liverpool with score 0-1 and 14 times already. Real Madrid won the Champions League. Okay. About Norway chess, frankly speaking, I don't remember who is playing there and who is favorite. So it's extremely difficult to make any predictions. Probably they are final match or something like this, but who plays against whom, I have no idea. I didn't follow uh, about this. If you can tell me names of participants, I can try to make some predictions. Well, so after d5, Bogoljubow played d4, knight f6, c4, e6, and bishop g5. Bishop g5, it's less common move order than knight c3, but it's quite logical move order. For example, if to play knight c3, Magnus Carlsen saw Shahryar Anish Girit Rajabov Anand. Okay, so is it classical chess or what? Or is it rapid? So what is this? Can you explain me? Is it rapid? Is it classical tournament, right? Is it Robin tournament or what is system of play or is it Robin tournament? Ah, yes. Classical. Okay, so who will win? Classical, and Blitz. Okay. Okay. And so tomorrow will be first round, or today is first round, or what? Tomorrow is first round, right? 9 rounds. They playing with Armageddon. Okay, it's very difficult to predict something. Okay, so surely it will be excellent show again. So it doesn't matter, at least for me, who will win. Okay. So if you have parents from first round, you can show me parents. I can try to guess results. But I remember stories that I was guest in Vacanzia. I wasn't a participant, but I was like the guest. And for next round, organizer asked me to make my predictions. So I wrote my prediction, and it was excellent predictions. So all of my predictions for 7 games were wrong. So I guess no one result correctly. It started. But what can I? Okay, so first of all, I need to have more light in my room. And I want to explain that after knight c3, black can play c5. And after c takes, there is choice between knight takes d5, semi-Tarrasch, or modern line with c takes d4, queen takes d4, e takes d5, e4, and now black has two options. Knight c6, bishop b5, d takes e4, this, or immediately this, knight g5, bishop e6. So bishop g5 move order doesn't allow black to play c5, because at the moment c5 it's dubious. White can just take here, and black cannot take with knight, obviously. Of course, black has other interesting opportunities. Totally possible to take on c4, totally possible to play h6 immediately. White should take, because after bishop h4, d takes c4, it's not so easy to take the pawn back. For example, after knight c3, black can play a6. If queen a4, knight bd7, queen takes c4, c5, black has quite comfortable position. Окей, there is some question, що не впізнав, хто ви. Вона з мене довго сміялася. Шерейтин, ага, ну, буває, it's happened. Okay. I answered in Ukrainian language, it was question. Tomorrow Blitz and classical is later. Okay, so knight bd7 played Max Euwe. Of course, black has several alternatives. Bishop e7 is totally possible. If bishop e7, okay, after e3, h6, bishop h4, castle. If white plays knight c3, it is classical gambit declined. Black has choice between knight e4, between b6 and knight bd7, but also possible to play knight bd2 line here, which I successfully played with white against Alexander Belyavsky. So it's not strong as a knight c3, but also playable. Okay, knight bd7 played. Max Euwe, e3, bishop e7, knight c3, castle, rook c1, c6. So Euwe is playing Capablanca system, and he is playing without h6. It's quite important. So what is the difference, you can ask. I will try to explain. So if h6, bishop h4, c6 down, bishop d3, it's not only move, of course, but a logical one. D takes c4, bishop takes c4, knight d5. Now, if white is taking on e7, queen takes e7, if compare, I can tell that pawn on h6 is better for black than pawn on h7. Maybe not so big difference, but okay, personally I would prefer to have pawn on h6 in this position if I am black. But after knight d5, white has extra possibility to play bishop g3 to avoid exchange of bishops. But it's possible. I'm not sure how dangerous this is for black. For example, my friend Lembit Ol liked to play this position with black, and usually after bishop g3 he took on c3 in this correct moment, because now if take with rook, white is losing exchange. There is some compensation, but okay, black is exchange up. So b takes c3 looks like more natural, and now Ol played b6. After castle, he played bishop b7, and his plan is to play c5. For example, if e4, now c5 is risky because d5, but knight f6 is possible. If e5, knight e4 is coming, and then c5. If not e5, for example, rook e1, also c5 is possible. Position is totally playable for black. So this was Lembit Ol strategy in this opening, but Euwe played same without h6. So he played c6 immediately. After bishop d3 he took immediately, and now he played knight d5. So at the moment Bishop takes e7, played Bogoljubow, and Alechin also played bishop f7 against Capablanca. If white has any choice, okay, now bishop f4, it looks like risky position, because although Alechin liked such a structure with white, but not against Capablanca. And another possibility, probably h4. Okay, it's sharp game against somebody else. I can imagine that Alechin could play this, but against Capablanca in World Championship match, he never played h4. But it's possible move. So bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, and yes, knight e4. Knight e4 here, you mean, or knight e4 for black in like Lasker defense? What you mean, knight e4? Because now knight e4 is serious move. Alechin played against Capablanca many times, and they played this endgame, which is more pleasant for white. Many games in Alechin Capablanca. Okay, Lasker system, it's a different move order, but if black wants to play Lasker system, usually they are not hurry with knight bd7. So Lasker system is bishop e7, e3, h6. Now knight e4 immediately. This is Lasker system, and this. So it's a different story. White has also this line, knight c3, now rook e8, c4, bishop e6 is very sharp line. So if queen takes b7, d takes c4, black has a good contraplay. And I remember that Topalov against Anand played here c5, but it was not successful experience for Topalov. Vichy responded by b6 after rook c1. Vichy played knight. Just a moment. I need to remember how it was. Okay, I remember that knight d7. I remember this position, but what was move order? Maybe queen a. Although queen a3 looks. Maybe bishop b5 he played. Bishop b5 played Topalov after b takes c5. Now bishop takes d7, c4 is bad for white, so Topalov played queen a3. So probably his idea was. At the moment, I don't know what I will play, but I hope. So this was game white Topalov, black was Anand, and it looks like white is fine because there is positional threat to take on d7 and then to take on c5, and black pawn c7 will be clear weakness, but Vichy found that excellent contraplay. So bishop g4 played Vichy here. And the idea is that after bishop takes d7, rook takes d7. And if Real Madrid, okay, I'm happy that Real won with 1-0. And idea is that if knight e5, c takes d4 is possible. And if queen takes e7, rook takes e7, if knight takes g4, h5 is coming and knight is trapped. And Topalov played, instead of knight e5, he played queen takes c5, but after queen e4, white is in big trouble because No possibility for castle. Okay, such idea to trap the knight, it's actual in many opinions. For example, I want to show another example. Knight f3, d5. No, not knight f3. So Queen's Gambit accepted, line which also Magnus Carlsen played with black. So d5, c4, d takes c4. Now knight f3, yes. a6, so black not hurry with knight f6. So a6, e3, bishop g4. Bishop takes c4, e6. So it's quite flexible system, and black has choice how to develop his knight. So knight f6, and the most likely will be knight f6 in future, and other knight black can sink. So to play knight bd7 with possibility c5, or to play knight c6 with idea to play e5 in future. But line where knight on g4 is trapped is d5 here. E takes d5, bishop takes d5. This is theory, and looks like very dangerous for black, because b7 pawn is attacked, f7 pawn is attacked as well. So of course black cannot play c6, because after bishop takes f7 they are just losing. It's very simple. So PGN after the lesson. Okay, so PGN after the lesson, only once was such a request, and I asked who wants to have PGN, please write me your email address, and after I can send you to your email address. So if you are ready for this, please give me your email address. I will write for myself, and then after finishing my lesson I will send you, and you can send to your friends, up to you. So please write me your email address if you want to have PGN. It's totally possible, but I need to know your email address only. Okay, so after bishop takes d5, Queen e7 played Magnus Carlsen. Okay, it was not his novelty. Vasily Smyslov played many years before Magnus Carlsen, but okay, of course, Magnus is very very good familiar with games of Vasily Smyslov. So Queen e7, the best move in this position, and now both pawns b7 and f7 are protected. F7 pawn is protected directly, b7 pawn is thanks for subscription, b7 pawn is protected indirectly. So of course bishop takes b7 now, it's a terrible blunder for white, because not so okay, so no, bishop takes b7, queen b4 check, and black win the piece. Okay, so okay, your email, please. Salgium.com or something like this. Gmail.com or what? Okay, Salgium, this is sign of, please, Saigum, right? Saigum, mail address, this, and after what Gmail, please explain me. Yes, Queen B. Some bugs with the stream. Сайрам dot на рен Dbarabu. Okay, okay. You can just write me Gmail. Okay, Saigum. Just a moment. Saigum dot narend. Okay, you can just write just Hotmail or okay, Narendra Babu. Saigum dot Narendra Babu, and after what? After sign of email and after Hotmail, Gmail, or what? One of your chess heroes? You mean Max Euwe or Yefim Bogoljubow? Okay, no problem to send to email, but please, what is in the end? Hotmail, Gmail, or what? You can just, without any signs, just split Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo or any else. Okay, so please explain me. So sign Gum, I wrote. Link doesn't work. At Gmail. Okay. Okay, so Gmail. Okay, so I will check again. Saigum dot just a moment. Narendrababu gmail.com. Okay, so after the stream I will send you PGN file. So bishop takes b7. It's Voyetra at just another email. Okay, I will write you. No, it's Sairam. Sairam, not Saigum, but Sairam. Sairam, right? Sairam. 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 Sorry. Okay. Sairam Narendrababu gmail.com. And another Voyetra. Voyetra I already sent. Voyetra dot hotmail.com. I already sent to this mail. It was somebody from you are from Argentina, from Buenos Aires or something like this. Well, so Voyetra hotmail.com. Voyetra is correct. Voyetra. Yes. Voyetra and Sairam. Okay, but okay, bishop takes b7. It's a very primitive trap, but more interesting line if queen d4. Now queen b4. Queen takes b4, bishop takes b4, bishop d2, bishop takes d2, knight takes d2, and now very important for defense that black has c6. And white cannot take on f7. It's a huge mistake because after king f7, knight e5, king e6, knight takes g4, h5, white knight is trapped. So same motive in different opening. So after c6, white should play something like bishop b3, but after knight d7, nothing special for white. Slowly but surely, okay, depends of your level now, so difficult to give general recommendation. Okay, so let's come back to our hero is, somebody told that one of his favorite heroes, but didn't explain who was it, Bogoljubow or Euwe. So bishop takes e7 and played castle. Alyoshin played knight e4. Also, I played myself knight e4 in my game against Jan Elvest, and I won. Quite interesting game in Chess Olympiad in Yerevan 1996. Okay. So, castle played. Bogoljubow, knight takes c3, rook takes c3, e5. In the modern chess, more popular plan is b6, but for b6 plan, better for black is to have a pawn on h6 than on a7, because somewhere queen c2, bishop d3 can be important win of tempo. So, I mean, from Lasker defense, I will show you this. So, without knight bd7, so bishop e7, e3, h6, bishop h4, castle, knight c3, knight e4, this, rook c1, c6, bishop d3 takes, knight d7, castle, d takes c4, bishop takes c4. So e5 is possible, but most popular plan now is b6 to prepare bishop b7, c5. So this plan became especially popular after the match between Anatoly Karpov and Artur Yusupov. Saludos, hola. But okay, in that time e5 plan was more popular, so it's not surprise that Max Euwe used e5 plan. There is some theory, for example, this, f4, queen e4 is the best according to theory, and for white it's quite difficult to fight for advantage here. And also there is a very old but quite important trap from this variation. So white can try bishop b3, logical move to avoid knight b6 with tempi. Some of my of course I will analyze some of my best games, but not today, because today I want to analyze Bogoljubow Euwe. And after e takes d4, another type of position is e4, but here rook c5 is possible. It's not so clear, by the way. For example, if rook e5, bishop takes b3, queen takes b3, queen c7. Okay, but maybe just now white can take on e4. If knight g4, rook h5 is coming. So somewhere it doesn't work, but now it's just bad for black. Okay, so e takes d4, e takes d4, knight f6, it's very old line, rook e1, queen d6, queen c2, queen c2 is not necessary, of course white has alternatives, h3 it's possible to consider, for example, to prevent bishop g4, but queen c2, bishop g4, knight g5. At the moment white has tactical threats. For example, if h6 it's possible to take, and queen b3, and this is not so pleasant for black. If queen takes d4, rook e7 is unpleasant. When are you going to analyze Karpov and Kasparov? Okay, I don't know. Okay, what I think about David Bronstein? Okay, very creative player. I consider them like one of the genius in chess. because of his incredible creativity. So after knight g5, bishop h5 looks like very logical to prepare bishop g6. And after rook h3, now bishop g6 looks like very logical, but bishop g6 is actually a very bad move. This is trap. So after bishop g6, white has very nice combination. Queen takes g6, h takes g6, bishop takes f7, rook takes f7, rook h8. King takes, knight takes king somewhere, knight takes d6, and white has pawn up and excellent chances to win in this position. So after rook h3, it's necessary for black to play queen b4, intermediate move, to avoid the trap. Now white cannot take on h5 because rook is hanging, and if, for example, queen c3, black can take and play rook e8, and white has no time to take on h5 because of mating threats. So black has a decent position, and if some other moves, black can play, for example, rook e5, black can play bishop g6, and now white has no idea with queen take g6 anymore, because black king already avoid fork from f7. So I lost every time I played Schliemann. Schliemann, it's Yanish gambit in Spanish. Impossible to see those traps, okay, but if you know this, it's possible to see. What do you think of Richard Rapport change federation? Okay, what can I think about this? So I know that he changed federation Hungarian to Romanian, but what I can think about, it's totally his personal choice. Сьогодні, yes, today in English. Сьогодні по-англійськи я розказую, так. Час від часу по-українськи теж розказую. Why not endgame age to teach children? Age to I think between 5 and 8 years old. It's the best moment to start to play chess. Okay, it's individual, but between 5 and 8, I think. Who is my favorite in candidates this year? Difficult to say. Probably Nakamura or Ding. But everybody can win, so nobody considering Timur Rajabov like a favorite. Okay, he didn't play during for a long time, but now I see he is playing in Norway chess, so will be interesting to see how strong is chess shape of Timur now. In current position, house queen c3, okay, queen c3 is possible, but white has nothing special. Black can consider queen takes c3, also queen d6 is totally possible, I think. Okay, it's playable position. To analyze games from grandmasters, okay, usually send for subscription. Rajabov, yes, okay, difficult. Okay, I don't see real favorite in candidates tournaments. I think everybody has chances to win, so. And because of this, it's tournament. I hope it will be very interesting for all of us. Anybody can win. Okay, but let's come back. So, thanks for subscription. So after e5, Yefim Bogoljubow played e4. Not so common reaction. I don't know how good is this, but okay, it's possible. So white is fighting for advantage in the centrum, but objectively speaking, I don't know how big white chances for advantage after e4. So e takes d4, very logical, because what if rook d8, rook d3 can be considered, and now if white can take with rook, and this pin, it's unpleasant for black. So e takes d4 is logical. Queen takes d4, but now b5. Totally normal move. So bishop is attacked. So more or less forces that white should play with his bishop to b3 or to e2, and after bishop b3, black can play bishop e6. And I don't see any special achievement from white in this position. So it looks like black can equalize without any special problem. Other moves with bishops, bishop e2, okay, it's hardly improvement. Black can play bishop g4, bishop e6. So knight b6 looks. What do you think? It's better, Ruy Lopez or Italian? Okay, it's matter of taste, it's matter of your mood. So, but if you really want to compare these two openings, I strongly recommend you to see accurately games with white, which was played by Sergei Tivekov. There is big expert in both this opening, I mean Italian and Spanish with white. His birthday is today. Which birthday? Tivekov birthday? No, Max Euwe. No, Max Euwe birthday is 20 of May. Yes, 20 of May. So not today. 20 of May, according to Wikipedia. Max Euwe, 20 of May he was born, not 29. Okay, I have book. Okay, book about Max Euwe, just a moment, so I will check when he was born. Euwe. Karpov was born in 23 of May. Okay, so knight b6 was very solid line, but Euwe played b6, so he wants to organize active play in queen's flank and utilize his extra pawn. But okay, objectively, knight b6 even more natural and very, very solid. b5, bishop e2, it's logical, because if bishop b3, c5, and then c4 with tempi in some moment, so bishop e4 looks like more clever decision than bishop b3. So c5, queen e3. Now c4 is possible, but white has active place. So b3 can be considered, also knight d4 can be considered with idea knight f5 in some moments. So rook b8. Knight d2. Knight d2, it's not so natural move like previous ones, because looks like logical bishop b7 instead of rook b8. No, I don't think this is a good idea, because white can take on b5, and even if somewhere black will take back pawn e4, structure will be bad. No, rook b8 is correct. But knight d2, it's a little bit strange for me. So if imagine that I am white, I am hardly will play knight d2. What I would play, it's another question. So the most natural is rook d1 here, so something like this. But okay, so probably Yefim wants to play f4 and play in centrum, but I'm not sure that this is correct one. Also, b3 prophylactic move, it's logical to prevent c4. But after rook e8, I don't know if white has something better than knight d2 now. Knight d2 is possible now to defend the opponent, but now c4 is stopped and white can... Bishop b7 also not possible. Rook c7, b4 for white, b4 for white. Okay. If c takes b4, rook c7, okay, it's very aggressive, but it's creative. Also c4 can be considered. If queen takes a7, queen takes b4. But after c4, white can play knight d4 as well. It's interesting idea with threat knight c6. Okay, so b4 it's really creative idea. So if takes rook c7, okay, let me see it. What is this? Surely white has serious compensation, but the question if it's enough for advantage or only for equality. And another question, what black should play here. So I need to try to think. Rook b7, rook c1, takes. Unpleasant pin somehow. But okay, maybe black can do it. So rook b7, rook c1, takes, a6. Of course, white has initiative, but what exactly they can do? If queen c1, I have queen d8. Probably queen takes e4 as well. It's possible after queen c1. Queen takes e4 is possible. So, okay, if not queen c1, so black are ready to play queen d6 somehow. Queen d2 is possible, but okay, rook d8. So, queen d2 also e4 pawn is hanging, so it's not clear before. Okay, it's possible, but it's sharp. But b3 is logical, prophylactic move against c4. But okay, probably Yefim thought that c4 at the moment it's not threat because queen takes a7 is coming and okay. No, c4, knight d4. So c takes b4, I think, is the best for black, and after rook c7, rook b7. But okay, maybe there are alternatives. For example, white can also consider this, but I don't know how strong it is. And then take on b5. Or if bishop takes e4, rook d1 is coming. And this pin is unpleasant somehow. If queen takes e4, white can take with bishop, and maybe this is advantage. It's not advantage because knight e5 is coming. So queen takes e4 and black is totally fine. Knight e5 is coming. Hello. Okay, so Kasparov. Some Ruy Lopez, yes. Which line of Ruy Lopez you are interested? Okay, second game will be Ruy Lopez when Max Euwe will be white. So we will come back to Ruy Lopez soon. Okay, so before c takes before rook c7, rook b7. Okay, thank you. I remember Cashier's Dussel. Excellent memories I have from this tournament, and also Fiesta de Uva. Okay, but knight d2 was possible. Rook d1 also was possible, but but rook d1, maybe rook e8. What how to defend this pawn? Because now b3 black can take on e4. I don't see possibility for white to utilize weakness of last rank. Queen f4 is possible, but okay. What is game? It's Bogoljubow Euwe. Bogoljubow white, Euwe black. Queen f4 is possible. Now, of course, queen takes e4 is terrible. Yes, because rook e3. This trap is very, very primitive. So, but if bishop b7, okay, bishop b7, bishop takes b5 also. Okay, so it's possible, queen f4. If c4, knight d4 is unpleasant somehow. b4 now, b4, queen takes e4. It's possible, but... Okay, maybe b takes c5. White has pawn on c5. Probably this pawn is dangerous for black. Okay, b4, if c takes b4, rook c7. It's also interesting idea, but the question how correct it is, because of queen takes e4. Black has two extra pawns and white has active play, but it's not clear. But queen f4 I like move. Queen f4 and maybe just a6 black should play to prepare bishop b7. If queen c7, rook b7, something like this. Okay, so it were many alternatives, but Bogoljubow played knight d2, not so obvious move, but he played this. And Euwe played rook e8. I don't know if it's the most logical move. Okay, c4 looks logical, but at the moment a7 pawn is hanging, so a6 looks like, for me, looks like very logical alternative. And now black is prepared for c4. Okay, f3 is possible, but it's passive, and at the moment black is not attacking e4 pawn really, so black wants to play c4 in some moment and to prepare active play in queen's flank. So after a6, probably b3, it's the most logical to stop c4. Not okay, so rook e8 played Euwe and f4 played Bogoljubow. So again, of course, b3 was totally possible, prophylactic move to prevent c4 and to prepare rook c1. Or even immediately rook c1, but okay, maybe b3 more flexible, somewhere white can consider rook d1 or even a4, and after a6 takes and rook a1, so white has several plans in this position. But okay, so f4, it means that it looks like Yefim Bogoljubow wants to play in queen's flank. Euwe played rook b6. Not obvious move. Okay, there are several alternatives. For example, even c4 can be considered pawn sacrifice. If queen takes a7, bishop b7, and black is prepared for knight c5, some compensation. But of course, it's always more easy to give pawns which are not yours. So it's much more easy to recommend this than to play in game. But okay, so for example, there is interesting ideas. If a4, for example, knight c5, if a takes b5, black has rook a8. If queen b6, knight a4, idea that black is winning exchange. Although white has several pawns, so situation is still totally unclear. For example, queen goes somewhere, takes, maybe even white is better here, but okay, so this is not forcing line. So okay, solid player could play a6 to prepare c4, if b3, bishop b7, something like this. But okay, Euwe played rook b6, another logical move. Now a7 pawn is protected, and black is prepared to play c4, and rook on b6 can be useful for defensive goals. I mean, if in some moment white will play queen f2, rook g3, black can play rook g6 and change the rook. Queen f2, but now f6, so rook g6 wasn't the plan of Max Euwe. f6, why f6? Probably he afraid e5, knight e4. But there is another question, why not e5 immediately? Probably f6 is possible, but it's far from obvious. For example, white has idea knight e4, f takes, f5, very standard idea. But it's standard idea for modern chess. For that time, probably this idea was not so standard as now. And white has very good compensation, although it's necessary to check, for example, c4 with idea knight f6. So it's enough compensation for equality or for more. So okay, probably at least Bogoljubow was not sure that after e5, f6 he has advantage, so he is playing queen f2, so he wants to play e5 in a better moment. But Euwe played f6, so idea to stop e5. It's question how dangerous was e5. It's not so obvious. For example, c4 looks like logical alternative if e5, knight c5 is coming to prevent knight e4, and black has contraplay. But after c4, instead of e5, white can consider also b3. I don't know how strong it is, but interesting position. Black has many moves. Even queen a3 can be considered now, but it's quite complicated. After queen a3, for example, rook g3 is interesting. This idea to prepare queen d4. So this looks like dangerous for black, because not only king in danger, also in queen. Queen f2, I explain. Idea that after e5, f6, pawn e5 is under pin. So queen f2, idea to prepare e5 in better situations. At least I understand. Okay, Bogoljubow would disagree with me. Okay, after b3 also possible to play knight c5, of course, b takes c4, and now b4, and black has compensation for the pawn, because knight is active, rook is active, bishop b7 is coming, so it's also quite standard pawn sacrifice for modern chess. But okay, Euwe played f6, so he decided just stop f5. Bishop f3, okay, bishop f3, its move is far from necessary, so b3, for example, looks very logical to stop idea c4, or rook c1 is possible. Добрый вечер. If I want to write chess book, okay, maybe I will do it in future. Okay, so bishop f3, it's possible, but white has at least many alternatives. So b3, normal move, rook c1, rook d1. So okay, so bishop f3 he played, and c4. So plan of black is quite obvious. He wants to play knight c5 and knight d3. So white needs to do something, and Euwe Bogoljubow played b3. And now again, so knight c5 is possible. After b takes c4, b4, and black has quite good compensation. Rook e3 more or less forced, and now rook d8, for example, with idea knight d3. Okay, but this is sharp. White can push e5 in some moment. So e5, knight d3 maybe. Okay, it's necessary to calculate, so it's far from obvious, but Euwe played b4. It's another idea. He is giving c4 pawn and winning exchange, but it's not so obvious because white has excellent knight on c4 and black pieces are bad coordinated, so situation looks like even dangerous for black here. So probably after bishop f3 objectively was better to play something else. For example, bishop b7 was totally possible. But after bishop b7, white can consider b3 prophylactic move to prevent b4. To prevent c4. So c4, b3, take on c3 hardly good for black. So b4, rook c4, bishop a6, rook d1 is this, and we can see that white has pawn against exchange, excellent knight on c4, and bad coordination of black pieces. So situation seems like quite dangerous for black. Rook a6 played Euwe. Okay, it looks like dangerous square, but if other move with rook, white can just take on a7. So okay, maybe it's not so clear. Коментарі. Окей, I will prepare. Так, я щось приготую з моїх партій. Реджіо Емілія я ніколи не вигравав, ну, але все, напевно, хороші партії грав. І в Реджіо Емілії теж. I'm answering about tournaments in Linares, Reggio Emilia. Rook b7 is bad because knight d6. It's, of course. But maybe rook b8 was possible with idea if queen takes queen c5. This endgame, I'm not sure that white is better. But probably this is more precise, and only after rook d8 take on a7 now, and black is under the pin. It's unpleasant. For example, if rook a8, queen c7, rook takes, e5 is coming, then bishop d5. It's can be bad coordination. Okay, yes, knight on d7, so rook on e8 under knight d6 in some moment. So king gets a little bit open, and so white has idea e5, bishop d5 in some moments. So okay, let's see what happened. Rook a6 played Euwe, probably the best choice. Queen d2 played Bogoljubow. I need to think if there is something better. So e5 doesn't work immediately because after takes, if bishop b7, black has rook f6, and this idea to take on f4. So what else is possible? Okay, queen d2 is very natural. White is attacking black knight and attacking b2 pawn, and they want to play knight d6 also. Well, for example, if knight c5, now knight d6 is possible, and rook d8, it's mistake because knight f5, and black is losing material After rook takes d2, knight takes e7 check, and white is pawn up. So, okay, probably if other move with rook, queen d5 is coming, so it's very bad for black. But so Euwe played knight b6. His attitude to chess, what like Petrosyan? Which attitude? You mean attitude of Max Euwe or Yefim Bogoljubow? Which attitude to chess you compare with Petrosyan? Or you want to say that this exchange sacrifice is in style of Tigran Petrosyan, maybe? Okay. Tigran Petrosyan like it too. This method like exchange sacrifice. Also Topalov likes to do it. But okay, he played knight b6. I'm not sure. Probably interesting alternative is check, firstly, to avoid ideas with knight d6 and knight f5. So queen c5 check is logical. If king h1, sorry, phone call. Just a moment. I will come back. Okay, so I'm here. Okay, what better? Okay, how somebody good? Okay, okay, on game. Knight b6. Okay, knight b6 or maybe knight f8 even. Knight b6 is logical, I agree. And now, what to do? But maybe bishop e2 is unpleasant. Try to utilize bad position of rook. If rook takes e4, for example, knight d6, and black is just losing, maybe. So maybe not knight b6, maybe it's better to play knight f8 to give more space to rook on a6. Now knight d6, rook d8. Although knight d6 is possible, if rook d8, e5 is coming with idea bishop d5. So it's Yes, so now we can see weakness of black king. It's dangerous. Okay, so queen c5 doesn't solve completely all of problems of black. So knight b6 played Max Euwe, and now bishop e4 is not strong because queen takes e4 is coming. So this is important difference, but knight d6, rook d8. And the difference with this that c5 square is not occupied, and now after rook d8 white cannot play knight f5 because queen c5 check, of course. Now knight d6, okay, let me think about this. Probably white has other e5 is also possible to consider. With idea if knight takes c4, bishop d5, king h8, bishop takes c4, but okay, probably rook b6, e6, no, maybe even rook takes e6 is enough for draw. Okay, but knight d6 looks like very tempting, so rook d8, important defensive resource that white cannot play knight f5 because queen c5. What? e5 played Bogoljubow, and he is in attack. If just take, bishop d5 looks like extremely unpleasant. For example, if knight takes d5, queen takes d5, king h8 not possible because knight f7. With king f8, white can just take, and rook f1, and it looks like winning for white. So if immediately king f8, also white can take on e5, and then rook f1 is coming, so it looks like terrible for black. So e5, and Max Euwe played rook e5, rook a5. So he defended d5 square. a4 played Bogoljubow. I don't know, is it the best or not? For example, king h1 looks like like solid alternative to prepare knight f5. But the question if this is really dangerous, because black can take, if knight f5, rook takes d2, knight takes e7, king f7, rook takes d2, king takes e7. This endgame looks like drawish. If white can play queen takes b4, there is queen takes b4, rook takes a2, I think was prepared. And what is this? Interesting position. White is active, but what exactly to play? Queen c5 probably to prepare bishop d5. Maybe. No, bishop d5 is unpleasant threat. And king h8 not possible because knight f7 checks. So what should black do? Probably queen e6 also. If f5, queen takes b3, maybe this. But okay, so this, even e6 is possible. I'm not sure, but knight c8 also. Knight c8. I am thinking about knight c8, but For example, this, if this, and bishop d5, there is idea. Okay, maybe it's not totally forced, so queen c7, but okay, queen b6 looks like forced, so black has no alternative. But black can take with pawn. Maybe black can just take with... black can take... yes, black can... okay, black should, because knight takes e7. If black takes with pawn, bishop d5 is coming, and... is it winning for white? Maybe it's winning for white. How to defend? So rook is hanging and e7 is threat, and if king f8, knight takes c8 is winning. Yes, okay, rook takes a2, rook takes a2 is necessary because rook is attacked and black has no alternative. So rook takes a5 is forced, queen c5. And queen e6 maybe not necessary, maybe black has king f8, maybe it's possible. Maybe king f8 is possible. This defensive move, avoid bishop d5 with check. Okay, so white has initiative, but at least there is no direct win. Okay, so queen takes b4 was serious alternative. What else? King h1, it's not dangerous, as I already demonstrated. What else is possible? a4 played Euwe Bogoljubow, so he prepared queen takes b4, very creative move. Maybe a3 was possible as well, with same idea. If rook takes a3, rook takes a3 is not possible because bishop d5 check. Okay, maybe possible, I don't know, because after bishop d5, king f8 is possible. Maybe black is not losing. If queen takes b4, rook a2, so it's still interesting. Okay, so a4 played. And I want to understand what is going on. Of course, white has many ideas. If even queen takes b4, rook a2, rook e1, something like this. But okay, okay. So a4 he played. Let's see what was happened in the game. Queen c7. So if takes the pawn, suddenly rook is trapped after queen takes b4. And big problem for black. So queen c7 played Max Euwe. So he's preparing for queen c5 check. Knight b7, where knight b7? There is proposition to play knight b7, but where? Okay, a4, queen c7. Queen takes b4 played. Euwe Bogoljubow. Maybe this is best solution, maybe no, but what is alternatives? e6 can be considered. It's very sharp, but I don't know. If knight c8, bishop d5, but I don't know if it works. After bishop d5, knight e7 even possible. Bishop g4. Bishop g4, it's interesting. Bishop g4. Yes, it was very logical. Yes, bishop g4. bishop e6 is very unpleasant threat. Utilize that black has no control e6 square now. Probably black should play king f8 now. Or maybe even queen c3 is possible. And if bishop e6, king f8. Okay, so at least black is not losing by force. If e6, now, yes, I explained it, that knight c8 is possible. If bishop d5, knight e7. Bishop d5, knight e7 is possible. And probably white has nothing. Okay, bishop c4, it's still, but no direct threats. Knight b5, where knight b5, queen goes somewhere. Okay, but at least queen takes b4 is very logical. Queen c5 played Euwe, takes. But now rook e1, it's a very strange move. Very strange because very natural looks to play b4. Attack the rook and then play a5 and then something with bishop d5. So b4 looks extremely natural and difficult to understand why Euwe Bogoljubow didn't play such an obvious move. And also what to do with black now. Okay, so rook needs to go somewhere. Okay, rook c3 looks like the most natural, but a5. What to do now? Knight is attacked, and where knight c8 probably. So probably. And if bishop d5, king f8, knight e4. If rook c4, knight c5 is coming. And situation is very dangerous for black because knight e6 is threat. King e7, maybe king e7. Good unit. If e takes f6, black can take with king. And surprisingly, I don't see forced win for white. So, okay, let's come back. b4, rook c3, a5, knight c8. So probably both, even not probably, more or less surely that both players should calculate this line. Because it looks very dire. But maybe now knight b7 is stronger. And rook d7, knight c5 is just losing. So rook e8 also knight c5 looks like very bad for black because his knight from c8 cannot move. If knight e7, knight d7 mate. So this line looks like terrible for black. So it's not clear how to. Maybe rook c7 is better to play. If a5, knight c8, not allow idea knight b7. So maybe this was correct. If bishop d5, king f8. And black now black coordinated his pieces and probably black is fine suddenly because if exchange knight it will be unpleasant pin. Okay, not so clear if bishop e6, knight takes d6 and rook c6 is gone. So probably knight c8 is sorry, rook c7. Rook c7 is correct move. It's important control b7 square. If a5, knight c8. If bishop d5, king f8, and black can defend successfully, so not so simple. Bishop g4 is possible, but not so convincing. Black can even, okay, take, and play rook b7. So white cannot win easily in this position. Looks like promising position, but black has contraplays. Rooks in endgame are very strong pieces. So rook e1 played. Bogoljubow, he just defended his pawn and avoided. But again, Max Euwe played rook c7, very good defensive move. Okay, now knight b7, it's obvious threat, so it's not so difficult to find. So rook c7 he played, a5, knight c8, knight b5, rook c5. Maybe rook e7 also was possible. After rook c7, maybe white can play rook a1. Now rook a1. Yes, white can play, but it's question evaluation of position even after king f8. I'm not sure that white is better. e6 instead, here e6. Okay, king f8 anyway. Black is prepared for knight c8. So it's not so clear. After queen's exchange, it looks like black has... so probably here was bishop g4 the best idea. Try not to exchange queens, but it's really complicated. Bishop. Rook c1, rook c5 is possible. Well, very interesting position and not so clear how to play. So what played Yefim, and here black defended. So b4 is possible, but it's not obvious. Rook c5, although rook c5 I'm not totally clear, maybe rook e7 was possible as well. Looks like a reasonable alternative, but okay, rook c5 is concrete move. Black is attacking knight. Bishop e2 played. Bogoljubow. He wants bishop c4. Knight b5 instead of a5. Now knight b5. Yes, it's possible, but the question if white has real achievement after rook e7. Position is very unclear. Okay, maybe just king f2 looks like solid move. b4 after rook a7. Now b4. a4 is hanging on. Now b4 no. Here b4. Yes, now b4 looks logical. Yes. King f8 also. What is this? Unclear position. Okay, but rook c5 he played. He is attacking knight immediately. Bishop e2. White is preparing bishop c4. Check. If takes... okay, it's possible to take immediately, but probably stronger. Give check firstly. So a6 and b4. Piece sacrifice. Also, bishop c4 was possible, of course, because now this version of piece sacrifice looks better for white, because white has two passed pawns. But probably after bishop c4, black can play king f8 simply. If knight c3, just take rook takes a5, and this position more or less equal, probably. Maybe more or less equal. Okay, so he played b4, rook b5, takes. Rook c1. Black has piece up, but white a pawn. It's quite dangerous. So takes, knight e7, e6, rook d6, rook c5, rook b5. They agree to draw. I have feelings that probably black has winning chances here. For example, if play king f7, if rook b7, rook a6 with idea king e6. Of course, white has excellent chances for draw because there are not a lot of material in the board, but black could try at least. Okay, so it was a very, very interesting game. So Yefim Bogoljubow had excellent attack, but Max Euwe okay. In the final, two pawns are strong, but how to push them? So king f7. Okay, king f2. Okay, objectively, it's very close to draw. And very likely somewhere black will give knight against two pawns. So king f2, for example. So more or less logical result of this game. Okay, only question where Bogoljubow could improve his play, because it looked very promising for him, so I have feelings that he had advantage somewhere, but a question where probably even in this position. So he played queen d2. Okay, for example, if to play something like h3, it's not easy to play for black, because if knight c5, e5 is coming, and knight will come to d6. Looks like unpleasant position for black, but okay, probably with very precise defense, black can make draw. Okay, so it was game one. Now I will consider game two. So in game two, Max Euwe is white, Yefim Bogoljubow is black. And e4 was played. Spanish. e5, a6, bishop a4, knight f6. Castle, bishop e7. Against Alyokhin, Euwe played successfully knight takes e4 line, but here played bishop e7. And queen e2. Worrell variation. It was not so popular, but till the moment when Nigel Short very successfully played this line in his match against Anatoly Karpov. I remember that Karpov played b5, bishop b3, castle. c3, d6, something like this was bishop g4, d1, d5, e5. Yes, Tivakov played, but short Karpov was something like this. Knight c3. I remember that knight a2 was played in some moment, but I don't remember, unfortunately, where exactly he played knight a2. Okay, something like this. It's easy to check. Just put short Karpov match. So I remember in some moment knight a2 was played. But okay, so according to modern theory, d5 is the main line, and after d3, bishop b7. After e takes d5, knight takes d5, knight e5, is this bishop b7. Black has an excellent compensation, or c6 also, in style of martial attack. So Tivakov played d3, their opponent b7, and white has nothing special in this line. But okay, it was much later, and Euwe played d6. His games against Euro. Bogoljubow. It's more interesting than against Lasker. You mean Bogoljubow against Lasker? Okay, we can consider games between Bogoljubow and Lasker. They played about 7 games, something like this, between each other, but they never played much. Euwe and Bogoljubow played 3 matches. 2 matches they played in 1928 with same result, +1 for Bogoljubow, and the last match they played in 1941, something like this. Against Lasker, Bogoljubow just played 7 or 8 games, something like this, but it wasn't much. But okay, if there is desire, I can prepare a collection Bogoljubow against Lasker. Well, so d6, c3, castle, d4, bishop d7. And I can tell a very interesting story about this position. So this position is playable for black, but very important for black that both castles are already played. If I am familiar with which games? With games between Lasker and Bogoljubow? Which games you mean? Or Bogoljubow against Euwe? This, okay, I have seen briefly today, but didn't analyze. But I want to explain a very important story about this. So, and okay, exchange it's for black, playable after c4, but playable. But black is 6 attacking strong because black is still black should b5. White has rook on f1, so bishop d3 it's only move of exchange, and after takes, knight d7, knight c3, b5 probably black has totally playable position. But once I played with black against Peter Swidler, and it was different move order. I played d6, he played c3, I played bishop d7, f5 is possible, sharper line, which Rashid Nizamedinov played many times, but I played bishop d7, d4, knight f6. And Peter Swidler played queen e2 now, and I played bishop e7, And now clever Swidler played d5. It's very important moment that he played d5. Problem with sound. Now, problem with sound. So d5 plates, not anymore. Now it's okay. So d5 played Swidler against me, and the important difference that he played d5 before castle. And after knight b8, he played bishop c2. And now it's a big difference, because if I play c6, white can play c4, and after c takes d5, c takes d5. Now white has no rook on f1, and after this is very bad for for one moment. So now bishop b5, it's harmless because white can play queen d1. There is no rook on f1, and to prepare knight c3, and white is much better. So c6 now has no logic, so the best for black is to play a5, c4, knight a6, which I played against Swidler, but objectively white is better here. So I'm not sure that even this game was in database, because it was blitz or rapid in Warsaw, but I will write at least that it was my game against Swidler. I lost with black. Knight c3, and white is better. But now we have another position. Castles already played, and now after d5, knight b8, I already explained this difference. Anyway, white can play d5. At the moment, also important, attract attention to threat knight takes d4. White cannot play, for example, rook d1, because after knight takes d4, they are losing the pawn. So rook d1, it's obvious mistake. So d5 is possible, and after knight b8, it's just complicated game, but it's playable for both. For example, bishop c2, c6, rook d1 is possible. This is quite complicated game, similar to Najdorf variation. But d takes e5 took Max Euwe is white in this game, so he took on e5. It's totally harmless for black, because black can simplify position and no problem. Knight takes e5. If black wants a more complicated game, it's possible to take with pawn, but a knight is not active against c3 pawns. Knight on c6 against c3 pawn, it's not active, so much more logical to take with knight, to change this knight. So bishop takes d7, knight takes f3, took Bogoljubow. Of course, other moves was possible. Immediately, knight takes d7 was possible as well, but probably knight d4. Bogoljubow was afraid with idea knight f5. It's question how strong it is. Rook e8 is possible to prepare bishop f8, but so knight takes f3. Queen takes f3, he took with knight. Totally possible to take with queen, of course, with idea rook e8, queen e6. So black has no problem at all, of course. So d takes e5, it's dubious, but Bogoljubow took with knight, bishop f4, bishop g5. Looks like black only wants to play e2, e5, f4. Sorry? Here knight takes e5 and f4. I don't see any special achievement for white. Knight c6 and then queen d7, rook e8, bishop f8. Okay, it's playable position, but nobody has advantage here, in my opinion. Okay, so knight f3. Now, okay, now choice. Queen takes d7, totally possible. If, for example, e5, okay, I think after d takes e5, black has active play. Also, knight g4 can be considered like alternative. So e5 is harmless for black. But okay, knight takes d7, bishop f4, bishop g5. It looks like Bogoljubow wants to exchange everything what is possible to change. Knight d2, but now he played knight c5. Okay, of course it was possible to take immediately on f4 and play rook e8, or rook e8 immediately. Position is totally equal. He played knight c5, knight b3, and knight e6. So he changed his strategy. If from previous moves, we could expect something like takes, 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 and rook e8 and draw in several moves. Even here, because in that moment it was no rules of Sophia, so to offer draw was available in any moment. But suddenly Bogoljubow decided to play in more complicated. So knight e6, bishop g3, and bishop h4 is possible to exchange bishops, but he played bishop f6, so there are more pieces in the board and much more complicated game, and now interesting game. Rook a d1 played Euwe. e5 was totally possible. His idea to take on b7, but okay, it's matter of taste and style. For example, this, a5 is possible, maybe it's idea a4. Knight on e6 is in good position somewhere, knight f4 is possible. So Euwe didn't play e5, rook a d1, now e5 is threat, so queen e8. Bogoljubow defended and also prepared queen a4 in some moments. So he played this part in very creative style. So it looks like he doesn't want to make draw with, for example, here he could make draw easily, but he wants to outplay his opponent. So queen a4 is threat. Okay, hard to believe that white can be worse here, but okay, at least it's quite a complex game. If knight d4, for example, queen a4 is possible. Well, it's a big question how dangerous it is, queen a4. Okay, if b3, probably black can take on a2, and I'm not sure that white has enough compensation. It's not possible to win the queen because black can play queen d2 or even queen b2 with idea knight takes d4 in some moments. So black is not losing queen. But okay, after queen a4, of course white can just take on e6 and play a3. Position is about equal. Bishop takes c3, not possible because white will take with queen. If knight g5. I missed knight g5. You are right. Thank you. Yes, knight g5. Yes, so it was my mistake. Yes, knight g5. It was serious threat. So I missed this. I need to admit it. But Max Euwe didn't miss it. So Max Euwe stronger than me. So knight d4 is not possible because knight g5. Thank you. Okay, so because of this, Bogoljubow played Euwe white, Bogoljubow black. So queen d3 he played a5. Rook f e1, queen a4. very original play. So if he played a5, we could expect that he will play a4 in next move. But he played queen a4. So if he wants queen a4, more logical to play queen a4 immediately, or even queen b5 looks like very logical. But okay, so he during this game, we can see that Bogoljubow changed his plans many times. So, for example, here looks like okay, like he wants to exchange everything and make draw. Okay, with black is totally normal result. But now suddenly he starts to play in sharp way. So knight e6 and bishop f6. He change his plan totally. And now again he played knight g5 threat, but when opponent he played a5, looks like he wants a4 because logical alternatives are queen a4, queen b5. Okay, a5, rook e1. So a4 was logical continuation, but after a4, knight d4, probably there is no special achievements for white. White is ready to play f3, bishop f2, and to be strong in the center. So Bogoljubow decided to play queen a4. Knight c1 played Euwe. Strange move for me. So from where I get this game? From Mega Database. Okay, it's not problem now. For example, chessgames.com, it's possible. So there are many resources from where you can take these games. But I took from my Mega Database 2019. So queen, knight c1. Knight c1 looks like strange for me. So I think knight on b3, it's quite a good position. Yeah, I answered from my big database. Okay, so in my opinion, queen b1 looks like normal. Yes, queen b1 looks like normal to prepare, for example, rook e8, f3, and then bishop f2, knight d4 looks like very logical plan. Okay, position is about equal, by the way. Knight c1, it's a little bit passive in my opinion. It's because on c1, knight is very far from important square d4. So if imagine that I am white, I would prefer queen b1 or even queen c2. Okay, queen c2 is knight on under pin, so queen b1 I would prefer. And my plan is f3 and also somewhere also e5. For example, if b5, I can consider this idea to utilize c5 square probably. If not b5, if something quiet, okay, f3 and then bishop f2, knight d4 is my plan, more or less. So knight c1, it's not move which, and also because queen on d3 somewhere can be attacked from knight c5, from knight with knight c5. So I am not considered d3 square like good for white queen. So queen b1 seems me like the best. But okay, it's my choice. Euwe made different choice. He played knight c1. Rook f8, now knight c5 is threat, so he defended f3, bishop g5. Which database? Big database 2019. I took this game, but if you have big database 2009, also you can find these games because these games was played many years before. 2008, 2009 and 2019 as well. So they played in 1928. Or the simplest way chess games come. So bishop g5, it looks like he wants to take on c1 and take on a2, but queen d5 played. Max Euwe, queen b1 was possible again, so I'm not sure that queen is on d5 is better than on b1. Idea to prepare knight e2, knight d4, or knight d3 maybe in some moment, but okay, so. Botvinnik Botvinnik wrote once that Euwe liked a long move with his queen, but okay, this is not a long move, and queen d5 from d3 and queen b1 from d3, it's same long, but okay, probably I think he liked move with queen ahead. But Botvinnik exampled that he prepared one opening against Euwe, and in this opening black had choice between queen d8 e7 and or queen d8 h4, and from Euwe he more expect queen d8 h4 because Euwe likes long moves with queen. Okay, so queen d5, h6. So queen takes b7, it's not threat because rook b8 is unpleasant. Black is black can take b2 pawn. Of course, this is not good idea, but why h6? Difficult to say. Okay, probably he wants just to defend his bishop. But it wasn't a real threat. But it's strange that, at least for me, that Euwe played queen b3 now. How about c6? Okay, c6 is risky because queen b3 and probably pawn d6 will be weak. Knight f4 not possible because bishop, probably he wants to prepare knight f4. Immediately knight f4 was not possible because bishop is hanging. But c6, okay, risky because pawn d6 will be weak. So okay, so h6 just prophylactic move, but I don't know why Euwe played queen b3. So much more natural, in my opinion, just play knight d3, improve his knight, because I cannot tell that queen on d5 is in bad position. So white can play queen b3 whenever they want, and at the moment queen takes b7 can be considered like threat. Somewhere f4 is also possible, so very strange. So knight d3, very natural and active move, and Euwe playing not natural and passive moves. I don't know why, but he played queen b3. So it looks like this game, Euwe with white playing just for draw from opening. He took on e5. It looks like idea don't fight in this game. And Bogoljubow with black playing for win, although he is not better. So queen takes b3, its position is totally equal, but Bogoljubow played queen c6. Bogoljubow is looking for more complicated game. Euwe is looking for draw, looks like. I don't know why. Space advantage not so important in this position because many pieces are already exchanged, and so it's not. Of course, if image that the white knight already on d5, so space advantage can be important, but at the moment it's very far from this. So knight d3, b6, a4. played Euwe, he blocked it. So we can see that bishop f6. Knight f4. Again, it looks like Euwe doesn't want to play. Okay, I don't know what is the reason. Probably he afraid Bogoljubow. Probably he didn't feel himself well in this good evening. But knight f4, he just wants to simplify the position. Okay, but also interesting question, what about knight c5? But queen b5, it's possible. White is not losing the pawn a4, and they are prepared for knight d5. So it was a positional trap. But okay, if white wants to have something more complicated, bishop f2 was possible, for example. But okay, I cannot tell that white has advantage, because black can prepare rook d8 and d5 in some moments, so position is more or less equal. So knight f4 played Euwe, so knight f4, bishop takes f4, rook e6, queen d5. Again, Euwe wants to simplify everything. Although totally possible was to play with queens, I mean rook d5 and rook d1. Okay, position still equal, but there are more resources for play, at least. Queen d5, queen c5 played. So Bogoljubow proposed to change pawn structure, and it's not so obvious that this change of structure is so good for black, because if bishop endgame, pawn a5 can be weak, so very likely that white is slightly better here. For example, rook d5 is possible. Idea to stop bishop e5. So for me it's important. Thank you. I will try. Who was better in the endgame, Bogoljubow or Euwe? I don't know. I think for both of them, endgame wasn't the strongest part of his style. For sure, Alyoshin and Capablanca was better, and Lasker, of course, was better in endgames than Euwe and Bogoljubow. So more safe choice was immediately take, or even play queen e8. But so queen c5 is a very dangerous idea, because this pawn structure, especially if imagine that white will bring in future his king on c4, it can be a positional catastrophe for black. So. But Euwe played bishop e3, so it looks like he wants only make draw in this game. Who is my personal favorite in this candidates tournament? Okay, if I need to choose only one, Dean Gliren is my favorite. So, queen takes d5, e takes d5. Also possible was rook takes d5, but okay, this position is okay, it's equal but slightly better, because bishops are in the board, so h6 pawn also fixed. So for black would be better to have g6, h5 pawn structure. So if give this position to hands of Magnus with white, it's can be something, so it's not an easy draw. But e takes d5 played Euwe, rook e5, bishop f4. Bishop f2 maybe is possible, but okay, so bishop f4 he played. rook e1, rook b8. So Euwe played passively, and now Bogoljubow prepared b5. Suddenly black has contraplay, because white allowed to exchange pawn structure, and now there is no possibility to defend against b5, because c4 not possible, so b5 is coming, and white cannot defend successfully against b5. So before white has alternatives. Okay, after rook e5, probably white could play something more precise. Okay, even c4 was possible. Rook e8, king f2. And black can forget about it. But okay, now rook e7, it's a little bit unpleasant. And if b3, bishop c3, if rook d2, bishop g5, okay, unpleasant, I mean that white is not playing for a win, so this looks like dead draw probably. King f8. So, okay, bishop f4, and suddenly after rook b8, black has chances for active play, because b5 is coming, and suddenly after b5, maybe bishop d4, okay, no, bishop d4, okay, bishop d4, rook takes d5 is possible, and it's hardly good idea to give the pawn. Okay, of course white has chances for draw, but they are pawn down. So okay, bishop f4 is not the best. Okay, probably okay, king f2 is the most flexible move. King f2, and okay, it looks like drawish. So bishop f4, dubious move. Rook e1, rook b8. Very nice resource. So after b5, suddenly bishop f6 can be stronger than bishop on f4. Bishop c1 played Euwe, because he need to do something. Against b5, not so easy. b5, takes, rook d1. Pawn d5 was under attack, but now white has two weaknesses, d5 and b2. Pleasant situation for black. a4, king f2. Only question if black needs to hurry with a3, for example. I don't know, why not simply play king f8. My idea is simple, to transfer king to d7 and only then decide to play a3 or not to play. White has no contraplay, because d3 square, it's not possible to go with, for example, this. King d3 not possible, so c4 not possible. So what? Okay, white can play also rook d3 maybe. If king d7, king d1, something like this, to prepare king c2, and nothing serious. Difficult for black improve this position. So it's equality. Okay, probably Bogoljubow sees this line and decide to play a3 immediately. B takes. Rook b1, not bishop takes c3. I don't know what was reason. Bishop why rook b1 is better than bishop takes c3. It's unclear for me. But okay, it's now a3 pawn can be strong in some variation. Also, at the moment, of course, bishop g5 is threat. So king e2, normal reaction. Bishop takes c3. King d3. Okay, if bishop d2, rook b3, it's possible. Rook b2 is possible. Unpleasant pin. If bishop e3, maybe rook b3 is possible. This idea, if a4, rook a3. But okay, situation is unclear because black king is out of play. So if image black king on d7, situation would be much better for black. King d3, bishop e5, king c2, rook a1, f4, bishop f6. If king b3 immediately, black can probably think about bishop takes h2. So f4, Euwe protected his pawn, bishop f6, king b3, no. So black can make draw with rook b1 if they want, because king c4 is impossible because bishop b2, of course. So rook b1, king c2, rook a1, black can play draw. Black can make draw, but Bogoljubow is playing for win. But he played g5. In my opinion, more logical way to play was king f8. This idea to improve his king. So g5, it seems me like less natural for me. But okay, it's a tactical idea to utilize the pin. So fg. Bishop takes g5, he is attacking, but he spoiled a little bit his pawn structure. Now, okay, bishop g5 is draw, but if he wants to win, he needs to lose tempo for h5. So still, king f8, in my opinion, was more logical decision. Against Shiro, maybe. But okay, against Shiro, it's pure theory now, especially if you know game Ponomarev-Shiro, which was later, and Shiro won with black in same variation. So this is just theoretical discussion. So king f8 is logical. I want to play king e7. If, for example, this, rook b1 is possible. But okay, king c4 now. King c4, white is losing the pawn. Okay, maybe it's a draw anyway. White is not even losing the pawn, so bishop a5, and this is... Maybe even white can play for a win after king b5. My idea, king c6, because now suddenly white has chances for draw. For win. I don't know how big chances, but black is suffering. Okay, but this line is not forced. So rook e1, maybe black can do something else. Okay, black can, if check, king c4. Yes. So bishop b2, so it's important. In bishop, yes, in bishop endgame, it's important that black has pawn on the color of bishops. Okay, maybe bishop d4 is possible, for example. With idea of king c4, bishop c5 to attack pawn by this way. So it's more logical, in my opinion, try to improve kings and or bishop, bishop d4, bishop c5, and then play g5 and exchange pawns. But okay, there are also concrete reasons, so we need to calculate them as well. But concrete reasons that black has no king f8 at the moment, and pawn is attacked, and bishop is not protected anymore. So h5 played. Rook e1 played. Well, I don't know why rook e1 is necessary. Much more logical looks a4. a4, bishop g5. No, bishop. Okay, a4 was possible. If bishop g5, I can play king b2, and black has nothing better than to force draw after bishop f6, king b3. So a4 was totally possible, but Euwe played rook e1. Probably he already wants to play for win, because now bishop g5 is not possible, because bishop d2. White exchanging rook, and why not king g7 instead of h5? King g7, why not? Okay, king g7 is possible, but what is the idea if just a4? King g6. Also after king g rook f1, bishop e5. Okay, a4 is normal. King g6 probably you want. Bishop h6 doesn't work, because rook is. But okay, we can check also. So bishop h6. This. Okay, is it real or not? Interesting question. White wants a4, a5, a6, and what is this? Yes, bishop b2 is possible, but a4, bishop a3, a5, for example, bishop c5, a6, king g6, king b5, king f5, but okay, h4 is coming, so I don't know what is this. Who is better even? No, it's not resign. Okay, why resign? So, or just king c6. I want to take on c7, or if king goes to e5, I played h4, h5, so it's bishop h6 is very interesting idea, maybe. But okay, it's require deep analysis if it works or not, so yes. Maybe, totally possible, but not obvious. Okay, so he played h5, rook e1, rook b1, check. So bishop g5 was not, but now white king is more active, king h7. So, from the start, position was very promising for black, but now a4 played. White has a pawn, and this pawn can be really dangerous for black. So this position looks like better for white. For example, white can even play bishop d2. Black cannot exchange rook, so after rook d2, rook b2, rook d1, and white is ready to push his pawn. So situation is dangerous for black somehow. Yes, c7 pawn, yes. So but okay, Euwe played a4, it's a natural move, but rook a1. Now pawn is attacked, and white need to do something. There is choice, of course. Many moves is possible. Even rook f1 is no, rook f1 is possible as well. Yes, but I'm not sure after bishop e5 what to do, because if takes, if rook f1, black has bishop b2. Okay, so rook a1, king b5, bishop c3. So at the moment white has no safe square for his rook. So bishop c3. Now it gives exchange, but rook g1, no time, because white has a5, a6, and if rook a2, bishop a5, it's okay, maybe not losing, but very dangerous for black at least. So rook d1, Bogoljubow played more logically. He immediately attacked d5 pawn. King c6 not possible because rook c1, so king c4, and now he played rook g1. So now it's probably better, because if a5, rook g2, a6, probably he can even take on h2, because white has no idea a7 and bishop a5 at the moment. King b5 is possible, but after king b5, black has rook a2. And if a7, maybe even h4 is possible. Bishop a5, h3, this h2, and white cannot prevent h1. White queen is so far from h1 square. Even was possible to take. Although now queen f8, this looks like drawish. So Euwe played g3, rook g2, a5, rook takes h2. Black is preparing contraplay with f5, f4, a6, rook a2, king b5, f5. So black is prepared for f4, bishop a5, rook b2, and players agreed for draw. If king c6, rook a2, it's drawish. If king a4, it's rook a2 as well. If king b4, rook b2. If king a3, black has rook b8. And the pawn is stopped, and black has contraplay with f4. So it looks like logical result of this game. So opponent agreed to draw after bishop b4. So it was two first games of this match, and in next stream I will continue next two games, or next three games. I will decide. Will you play for a Magen? Maybe I will play. Alpaca Gambit? What is this Alpaca Gambit? I don't know. So I have emails to send PGN file. What is Apache Gambit? Alpaca Gambit? I don't know what is Alpaca Gambit. Okay, so for today, 10:30 p.m. I need to relax. Thanks for attention. Thanks for subscriptions. Thanks for your likes. Thanks for popularization of this channel. King b3? Where King b3? Where King b3, you mean, was interesting? Де король b3 заслуговувало на увагу? В який конкретно момент? Покажіть мені, будь ласка. Прошу, але де король b3? Король стояв на c4. Де король b3? Прошу. Добре, не знаю, де король b3. Добре. Okay, so thank you. I will stop my stream for today and see you next time.